Hi everybody, it's me again, Thomas. I thought it's Sunday. I have a moment. Let's do a little update. Where are we at? So, I'm not going to talk about a lot, but the swearing frustrated bit. All I can say, it's kind of funny that went viral. You can make an entire game by yourself, spend years on it, and you do some swearing, and that goes everywhere. Just some store optimization. Changing the name is just a tactic to make sure people know what it is, and if people know what they're getting, they'll be less frustrated if it's actually what they're getting. Whereas if they're expecting something much more, you get negative reviews and stuff. That's all fixed. It worked fantastically. It's at 79%, probably 80. It was 80 this morning, so user reviews will be fine. The bar, likely the last 30 days, will be way up in the 80s because it went really well. So whatever. More attention. That said, what I enjoy doing is not fucking ranting on the internet. I do like a bit of swearing, but it's developing fucking games. I'll try to keep the swearing down. So I've been working on Bulwark, and the next update that's coming is called Architecture and Accuracy. So it was going to be an architecture update just on adding new architecture styles or architecture top tier stuff. And then some people on the Steam and on the Discord came in. Thanks to those, you know who you are. And gave a bunch of excellent numerical, precise feedback of what they disliked about the combat. And we changed that because they tested it. They feedbacked on the changes. Quite a few people. Mostly what it came down to is more accurate turrets, less faffing about, just more punchiness to the combat. I had made it a bit too difficult to grindy in the previous update, tiled that down, made the repair cost slightly less, just balancing stuff out so that it feels a lot nicer and coherent. So that's why it's also called the accuracy update. You can expect that. That's in there. But in the main bit there is a ton of changes. There is little bits of text I've updated to make things clearer based on all the feedback. There is changes to how houses get. So it's an architecture update which evolved in a complete reworking of the resource system and the housing system. So beneath Bulwark, there is everybody knows the resource system if you've played the game. That had some limitations where if there were sources providing from two spots, like two extractors or a trading route, they would interfere and you wouldn't get the highest output on the spot where you wanted it because it would pick the shortest location, not the highest number, which matters now because I changed the housing system. So the people that move in on your foundations, next to your walls, they now look at the resources they have available for the buildings they built. So the amount of population, the amount if they have iron, if they have stone, they'll make some of the nicer buildings. If they don't, they'll keep the shittier wooden buildings. They won't, and they will downgrade if you don't keep providing those resources. That's super different. So it's a major change. I'm still balancing that a little bit, but you won't lose much population. You can lose some if you lose your resources, but they'll just downgrade to shittier looking houses. That said, the factional houses, so the Imperial houses and the little Mancer or pirate buildings, those require all resources to be there, or at least stone, I think, and some faction influence. If that goes away, they do drop, and they do provide a bonus population. So it is important to keep things running now to offset that, because there's not enough. People get frustrated. You can now recycle towers. So if you demolish a tower, that gets recycled back into the local spot, or if it can't find it, the nearest resource spot, that'll, instead of 50 going to 49, it'll go to 51. So you get some of that back. So that's an important fix. I've also changed some of the captains to trade more resources. So there'll be fewer captains that only do people. For instance, they'll do people and stone and whatever. They'll do a few things. That might not fit all the text in the game, but their primary one is still their primary one. But it just makes it slightly less frustrating, and some of the shitty captains are now not shitty. The starting ones are still a little bit shitty, but not. The other ones are, they've just been added a bunch of resource to their manifest. So that's all the things, and lots of fixes and bugs and balancing, little interfaces. Well, let me show you that while we go to the game. Let me roll in front. So we'll just, where do we go? We'll go and look at our my Imperial settlement, and before I'll show you what's going on there. We can see some changes to the soul tree. The faction you're aligned with is now gold. Well, the one that's on fire is still the... that is just a simple UI fix to show that's now your primary faction. The other thing is, I haven't made anything, so if I'll build something. For every person that moves in, so we have to wait till some people move in. Behind the scenes, they're generating splinters. So there's more sources of splinters, more passive income. I've made 13. Just go there, and afterward it will be added to your inventory. That's also where the profit that those merchants make, those big merchant princes from the previous update that did 20 for every run, that gets added here as well. So you have a display of how much you're earning. I've also added it that every normal captain also adds 1 or 2 splinters every run. So you are making a little bit of money from your ships. And that makes it just a little bit less grindy and motivates you to build more, I hope. So those are, just cleaning it out. If we're talking about cleaning out interfaces, one thing that's happened... Well, I need to go to full screen again. I've done a lot of work on this bad boy and trying to get, because it was set playable, but that's not good enough. I want it to be fully, certified. So that means all the UIs have been changed a little bit, all the lettering bigger so that it looks good, doesn't overlap at the highest scale, which you need as default for Steam Deck. Stuff. So that's also coming in this architecture and accuracy update. Nothing new on the map, thank God. What is new? What's the new content? Well, let's first off have a look. I've changed some things in the rendering. You can see there's a little bit more ambient occlusion. Just a little bit more. It just makes it just a little bit more defined. I found out a new trick that I can make the lights come out in the ambient occlusion, so it's not as dark when there's a light, which is nice. And if we go to photo mode, I've also changed some of the lighting settings. If we go through the full spectrum here, you can see that going down to the night, the dusk, I think, is that so it's now a softer transition, and there's this sort of a grayish overcast type color in between before it goes into the darker green, because the green got a little bit lighter, and I like that moody. And I've punched up all the lights from the city, so it's I don't know if you can see that in the the OBS recording, but things are the lighting is just a little bit punchier. And well, you can see the contrast is just a little higher, makes the colors pop out. Had a little fiddle with the dawn as well. So the little purple haze, that means something different, I know. But that's actually, I've just fiddled so that it's a little nicer. And then it goes into the dramatic stuff. I've improved the bloom a little bit, so things look a little bit more glamorous. I just, I had an hour, and then you start fiddling, and it turns into 2 hours, and then you're fiddling all day, and suddenly it looks nicer, and you go, oh. Sometimes that's just reverting settings you already had months ago, but hey, don't tell anybody. So the other thing, so that brings us to the other thing you might notice if you're an avid player. There are new buildings here. Well, first of all, let's start with the new housing system. You can see that at the fringes of my settlement, what's being built is already of a different quality. Well, actually, this is really well supplied. So let's go. So the basic houses need iron. Let's see if I can. Oh no, let's not supply it. So it's already. This is a fairly advanced settlement, but you can see that it's slowly. If you look right to left, it's going to slightly poorer houses. If this one is I don't have any wood anymore. But you can see it's building the shittiest houses outset. So there's rhyme and reason to this. Like I said, this is a well-supplied settlement. You go up, you get the factional housing that requires iron. So all these fancy gold-roofed stuff from the Imperial needs iron. You can also there's new top-tier buildings. So because things are more tiered now, I hope that's the right word. So not top tier doesn't mean pretty. They are pretty, but it also means there's ranks in the houses and also the amount of population. So I've upped the population. There's like apartment buildings now. There's one under this cursor. Let's see. There's one on top of this foundation. Can you see there's actually two stuck together? And they have this sort of Byzantine look to them, like the Imperial Palace. Here's another one. And here's a nice a folly, I would call it. I don't know. Some rich guy's little, dining for one, or a piazza. It's got a nice look to it. Those are like, these are like apart. So their population is like 10 times of a regular house. So if you lose resources, your population for that faction might plummet. The positive is it will go up really quickly when you have these big buildings. So the intent is sort of to disbalance you and make it slightly harder to go multi-faction, because once you go Imperial, people will move in and it'll do a runaway effect a little bit. I said I might change that because we already had a little bit of a runaway effect with the pirates, but actually like it a lot because it's more realistic on how people would. Here is a really nice example of what happens when you let your high-tier faction next to this hammerhead go run amok, and they've built all these top tier houses and they're all stuck together, and it just, I don't know, it has something. I really enjoying what it brings to the settlement. Let me see, especially at some of the more dramatic colorings. So that's when the lights go on. See, it's just not it, because it adds a base to things and a sense of scale. So there's everything down here which used to be the big. Oh, look at my big buildings. They're dwarfed now, and they give a new architectural sense to your settlement, or that's what I think. Because there's these big, and sometimes the little ones are still inside it, because that's why they're all raised up. So sometimes they're not, but sometimes they mingle with the existing buildings, like the heated houses here. Especially like this one. Oh, now the little flourishes I put in there. So instead of a light post, that one gets a little flag when it gets built, which is your faction color. So that just flagged. But I like that amidst something used to be very chaotic, there's now this fairly big, a few standout big buildings that, it just makes it look more like a big city, or, well, a giant fantasy city. And look at this. There's these little interior spaces. Some people were asking about it. It's not exactly, I know it's not what you wanted with giant interior spaces, but it's just, imagine it's the first steps. And it makes everything look, it's like, it's slightly less medieval. It's more 1700 industrial era. It's got what's the game called? Dishonored vibes. It's definitely got that. So that is one example, and you had to endure a whole lot of talking. So let me quick close that and go to the other faction that's done. I am working on the pirate, the bannerless one, which are pirates, but and you can see here another example of the menu that's just sort of been tweaked so that it fits with larger text stuff you do. So this is the monster. The monster really coming to their own in that dusk, because this is Minas Morgul. To me, that's a little bit of the and you can see the what's been added is the most prominent feature is that they lit up with these green floodlights all over the place on a Mancer settlement when you have that high alignment. And you need, I don't know if I have it here. Maybe let's see if I have one. I don't have a leader. Oh my god. Well, the leader building also has been changed a little bit. So there's 3 ways which you can unlock these. Either you have a high faction population. So I think the limit is 2,500. Then you get these top tier buildings. You have a leader, or you are simply aligned with them. Oh, another change. Look at the politics window on the top right. There's a little star that say it's alignment and population. These things are not necessarily the same. That got some confusion. I just added a little star in there to sort of denote that. Another little change is that I'm at war now, but war won't be declared on you unless you have a beefy defensive fleet. So if you're just flying around with 4 units, war won't be triggered. That is just a little sensible thing because, if you're not a threat, people shouldn't declare war on you. So what's new for the Mancer? Their top tier buildings are pure Gothic Gotham City. You can see one in here. You can see one in the water. They have these floodlights. Look at this. I like the shiny black one. There is a few more. Let's see. They have this interior. You can't see, but there's another piazza sort of square in one of them. And then there's these tall, narrow black ones. I don't know. Sort of a bad signal. I have no idea what it is. It's I think a wizard who lives in there, but but we don't have wizards. There's no magic. There's just science. But someone powerful. So that's the Mancer were really, because they integrate with the other buildings, but didn't. You have all these other houses normally in a Mancer settlement. Like there, you have Norma, and they didn't feel like they were part of this ominous deck. Oh, here, look, we haven't seen this one. It's freaky. I don't know. Some really rich librarians live there. And let's photo mode this. Keep it at night, and those lights always stay on. So with the addition, so they have this dual change where they have new buildings and they have these floodlights and they pop up also in the walkways. So they're just to show we are technological, we have electricity, and we are ominous as fuck. Oh, we got some free lightning going on there. Thunder. Oh, the lights there are a bit too bright, but okay. Let's fix. So that's a little bit what's coming. I'm looking forward to doing the next couple of days doing the bannerless. I'm not entirely sure. Their vibe is, I'm calling it Spitfire punk, but how that translates to their top tier buildings, I haven't decided, but it'll come to me. And then the patch will get tested. It's being tested already, and you can try it out. Just go to your Steam. It's only on Steam. Sorry, console players. That's just, it's just so much faster. I do daily updates. Go to Steam, go to game properties in the library, go to beta, select beta patch. And this is, as I'm building it, it's there. Feedback on the Discord or on the Steam forums. If you like these changes, it's a major improvement on the previous patch. And that was already, I think, quite an improvement, but it introduced some new things that are just slightly more fleshed out now. It looks a lot. I know it already was a pretty game, so people tell me, but it's gotten it's becoming, with this and then with the little lighting, subtle changes. It's becoming quite a cool revamp. So that's just a little how do you call it, preview, which you can try out yourself and enjoy. All these changes to Bulwark. After this update, they will be likely working on, and hopefully get it done this summer, the naval combat update, which is, like I said, it's not a strategy game, but that's, people quoted me. I made a joke about it. It is a strategy game, of course, but it's not a campaign-driven RTS style. Here's a goal and cutscenes. It's a sandbox. So, but combat is part of it. It's improved a lot with this update, thanks to you. But naval combat will add, hopefully, the ability to command several different groups of units. You command your surface fleet. Have some enemies do more interesting stuff, like spawn fortresses that annoy you, and possibly have some combat zones on the map, like danger zones. I've got plenty of ideas. I don't know if I can get it all done this summer, but that's the goal. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed this little preview, and try it out for yourself. Oh, I can't. Ooh.